Hello. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the tobacco right out of the bag and I'm going to dump it in this colander. I got this colander at Dollar Tree. It was $1 obviously, and I bought 3 or 4 of them. It has the right spacing of holes here to get rid of the very fine tobacco that can cause problems in your rolling machine. So basically, this is a smaller bag I have here, so I'm just going to dump the whole thing in here because there's plenty of room to do this. So what I do is I start turning it around like this, and you can see all the real small bits that are dropping. I guess that's what they call shake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this a good few times. Obviously you're wasting a little bit of tobacco here, but later on in the video I'll show you how to deal with that. So after sifting it up about 10-15 times, turning it over, then I start sticking it in these tubs I got at Dollar Tree for $1. This bag, I think I got it on sale. The tobacco's fairly dry, so I don't know if that's good or bad, but and then this other stuff, see the real fine bits that came out through the colander? Okay, I'm just going to save this. There's no sense throwing it away, but I'll show you what to do with that later in the video. Now, here's what I have for a setup here when I'm rolling my own cigarettes. I like to do it on the bed because that's where I have my television and it's more comfortable. So, in order to do it on the bed, and this would apply even if you want to do it on a table, the table might be slippery, is I have a piece of plywood that I have the tray that I'm using screwed down to this plywood. It's kind of heavy, but not too heavy to carry around. So then I have my machine here. What I've done is I've taken the pad of the machine and I used a glue gun. It's coming out a little here. Not the other corners and are tight. And that's a little bit loose there. But I've used hot glue and I've glued this pad down to this tray here. So what that does is that helps to keep the machine from moving around, and I basically don't need to hold this handle that much, but it wouldn't hurt to hold it if you could. Now let's explain tobacco here. Tobacco, I've seen some tobacco that's kind of fine. Then there's that expensive cigarette tobacco that's for cigarettes that's taxed. So it's really almost just as expensive as buying a carton of cigarettes. I don't know who buys that, but some, 1 out of every 100 person must buy that stuff. Okay. So when you're using regular pipe tobacco, it's $14.99 a bag up to maybe $19 a bag for a 16-ounce, 1-pound bag. I found that when I pass that tobacco through the colander, as I showed you before, all the little bits are taken out. These little tiny bits that go through the colander, that's what messes up people's machines. Because if you have too much of that fine tobacco or shake, when you go to pull this handle, it gets tight, real tight, and you start forcing this to go all the way through and make your cigarette. And I found when you do that, you'll leave gaps by the filter. You may have a gap over here, or you may have it fairly loosely packed in here when it's going to be a disaster for a cigarette. So I sift it first through the colander and just use the stuff that's all tied together, sort of, where it's fine but it's stringy, and that's what you want. So you take an empty tube, of course, you put it on. What I do is I don't pack it on both sides like people do. If you pack it on this side, what happens is you end up with too much tobacco coming out of the top, and then you got to pull it. So what I do is I pack it some on this side, definitely. If you don't pack a little bit here, you're going to get a space between the filter and the rest of the cigarette. Then what I do is I bring a bunch over. When it's stringy like this, I kind of rock it back and forth and let it go down some. I don't push it or pack it. I just rock it back and forth. Okay? And then it's sort of in there. Okay? I do this a lot faster, but I'm doing it slower to show you. Okay. Then go ahead and pull the handle, and the cigarette's made. Okay? Sometimes if you feel a little bit of a gap here, or it feels loose by the filter, you could pack it a little bit. Okay, and this cigarette is really good. Okay, it's not too tight, and it's filled all the way, even down here you can see. Okay, so that one's done. And then, you know, I keep going. So if you want to see me do a few, a little bit packed there, a little bit like that, that's done. Okay, I don't even need to tap that. Or most of them, actually, you don't need to tap. Sometimes when you tap them like this to pack them, it doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. You can see it go down. You don't want to hit your fingers. You want to keep it loose but firm, and see how that's packed. So that's real tight. All right. And then I'll do a few more here. Right in that first corner there, and then I just go ahead, loosely put it in. Okay, that's done. Take another one. And if you don't sift your tobacco, what you might want to do after every 5 or 6 pulls is just go ahead and get that small stuff out of there. Because if it keeps building up, you're going to jam your machine. So there's another one, fine. And one more maybe. Pack it in the first thing. Bring all this stuff up. You don't want to waste anything. Okay. No problems. And like I say, if you feel this starting to jam and you pull it, you're gonna really shorten the life of your machine, and I'm going to show you why that is. Underneath here, you see these 2 spots that hold this plate that slides over the tobacco. I guess this is called the tamper. Alright, it's a little dirty here because I have plumber's grease. I don't grease anything else. I haven't seen the need for it, but these 2 pivots here, 1 and 2, the center rivet here is made out of a pretty cheap pot metal, and on previous machines I've noticed that this becomes ovular or non-concentric, and will definitely be a problem when you're trying to push the cigarette tobacco in your cigarettes and so forth. I've seen people have problems with this spring. I guess this spring holds this rubber rubber tip here that holds the cigarette on. Okay. If I ever have a problem with this, what I do is I stick a couple toothpicks in here and bloat this tip up so it's a little bit longer and will hold the cigarette. But those problems are all gone. I don't have any problems anymore. I could roll a whole carton of cigarettes and not have to throw one cigarette in the trash. Okay? I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with the spring. Okay? And I've had this machine for quite a while now, and it's, as you can see, these parts aren't rounded off because I've never forced this handle. Okay? And I, just for good measure, I put a little bit of what's called plumber's grease. You put it inside a faucet if the handles are real tight. And the plumber's grease, you get a little tiny tube for $2 at a home improvement store. So I put a little bit of plumber's grease here and here, like every, I don't know, 4 or 5 times I roll cigarettes. So, now, when I showed you how I sifted the tobacco in the colander, okay, and I had all the small little bits, a couple times I just threw this stuff away. I mean, I was disgusted because it kept messing up my machine. You pull the handle and it's jamming right here. And then I'd have to, what I would do is I would take a screw and push the tobacco back in because it would be all jammed up. And then I'd have to dig it out of this crevice right here where the tamper plate meets the machine. It would all get stuck in here. Okay. So now if I would roll this stuff, and if it was a little bit wet too, it would be a disaster. I mean, this is just fine bits of tobacco that if I tried with this stuff all the time, I'd really have a problem. But I kind of figured out how to do it with this. And that is to push it in, let the gravity let it fall in, okay? Maybe shift it a little bit this way so it goes in those corners. And then that's it. Maybe tap it just a bit. Just a tiny, tiny bit. And then pull this thing. Okay? Perfect. This is full. This is full. This is all full. All the way up to the top. Excuse me. So, that works. This little stuff, the same thing. Just don't force this stuff in. Because if you force this small bits of tobacco in the machine, it's going to jam. Okay? So, a little bit back and forth. Just lay it. Now, to tell you the truth, I haven't smoked one of these yet. Maybe the tips will fall off because it's so fine. I don't know. But I just figured this out with the small tobacco, and I don't want to exactly just waste it, So if I could save these and they work, then I'm utilizing the whole bag of tobacco. If you take your good stringy tobacco and you don't sift it through the colander and you have all this bits like this inside it, there's a chance that when you roll the cigarette, it's going to jam. It's just, this small stuff is not good to roll. That's at least what I think. So let's go again here. See, nice and loose. I didn't pack the small stuff, and the cigarette is filled very well here. Okay. Now, when I'm all done, okay, I like these containers because they were hefty brand. I don't know what this says. You can't buy them anymore. They were at Mark's, and they were this is 7.1 cups or 1.7 liters, but it fills 100 millimeter cigarettes. That's a real nice way to store them here. So when I'm all done, what I do is, make sure my machine is clean, and then, sorry, kick the camera there, and I take a hand vacuum, and I put this little attachment on there so it's a smaller opening, and I just pretty much well, thanks for watching.